Good morning, everybody. Welcome to First Center, First Church of Religious Science here in New York City. I want to welcome everybody who's new, anyone who's on our Zoom call. Every week I'm hearing that, every other week, we're hearing that we have another 155 people who've signed on to the website, who are watching our videos, so we're truly grateful. I'm grateful also, some of you have started to support the center. That's really wonderful because we have a crew of technicians here and a bunch of expenses. So whatever anybody can do is appreciated. So we're able to keep doing what we're doing and sharing our message. So today, Jimmy just gave me a talk title that I just heard. What was it, Jimmy? The hidden gems of life. Okay, that came from, there was a seminar that Dr. Bill Tolliver gave some number of years ago, which was about wisdom or trivia. And in it, there was a subtitle, The Hidden Gems of Life. So that's how I wanted to get that straight. I want to use some of his material, and I've updated a lot of it and added a few things. I thought it was particularly good. He was one of my favorite teachers. So let's give thank you also, Celia, for starting us off this morning. And I'm going to do a small treatment here myself, or a quick one rather. We give great thanks for this morning, for wholeness and completeness, for the recognition that there is truly nothing missing from our lives. We have everything that we need to live life with courage, with dignity, and with positive expectancy. For any of you who have been with us a while, who understand this teaching, know that we have access to what we call cosmic mind, infinite intelligence, universal presence, source, the God within us. We have access to this. And in this awareness today, we celebrate being vibrant, and vibrant expressions of this one life, whole and complete. We celebrate being able to see this completeness, this wholeness, this beauty in one another and in the world itself. We celebrate the ongoing consciousness, the perfection, and the completeness that is unfolding in life everywhere. We let this be the foundation upon which we build our lives. If we choose, we can unite in consciousness at this moment to know that each of us is a center of pure self-conscious awareness within the mind and heart of God. We know this energy is infinite and that it is expressed through and by means of each and every one of us. We know that we are empowered to choose our thoughts and create anew. And by those thoughts and beliefs, with these thoughts and beliefs, we know they're acted upon by law. That it is the universe's pleasure to respond to what we believe. Therefore, we look again at our beliefs and we make sure that we are clear. We make sure that we have no belief that we are limited, no belief that we are victims of anything or anyone. We release any idea that we are at the effect of anything or anyone. We give great thanks for the understanding that the universe inspires each individual to evolve, to grow, to learn, and to know that we are authors of our own experience. And not only that, we have the ability to create great and wonderful lives, and that nothing ever is truly holding us back. We are given the power and the ability to evolve, to grow, to express ourselves, and we can go further. We can envision a fuller, more expansive life than ever before. And we know that life supports us and responds to us affirmatively. And in this consciousness, we celebrate the healing of any consciousness within, any consciousness where there's a belief in fear or worry or doubt. We affirm our belief in one energy, one source, one consciousness, and one eternal truth. So we release these words knowing that we have planted these ideas, these seeds of what we'll call cosmic truth, and we shall accept the harvest. And so it is. There was a book called Infinity in All Directions by an author, Freeman Dyson, who was a theoretical physicist. He says it seems much more reasonable to think that this mind, this energy that we call, some people call God or higher power, has been here from the very beginning. It always was, in other words. And that we, each of us and all of us, are simply manifestations of it at this present stage of history or evolution. This energy is inherent in the way the universe is built. You know, we would say it more simply. There's not a spot where God is not. It is the all that is in all. Wherever you can imagine, it is. Whoever you can think of, it's in that person. It's in all people everywhere. And he went on, you know, with his line of thinking, everything that we see is an outpicturing of this activity. It's evolving and it's unfolding by means of every one of us. This source energy is more likely to be primary, and life as we observe it secondary. This source or spirit was there from the beginning, if there was a beginning. It was always there. And it is in everything, everyone. It's in you and it's in me. I think most of us would agree with that. This lesson has had many names, as I've said today, entitled Wisdom Gems. You might recall there was a game that was very popular. It still is, I think. It's called Trivial Pursuit. It was made by Hasbro. So it was popular to the extent that I think the game made like $800 million. So there's got to be a lot of people who are interested in studying different facts, acquiring facts. So I was always interested in learning a lot of these things and used to engage in that game. I was interested in reading many other things too. I still manage to read a lot of things. But, you know, a lot of that stuff that I read really, I guess in the scheme of things, wasn't terribly important. I today spend a lot of time lately reading about robots and artificial intelligence because, like it or not, it's clear to me that it's going to be a very big thing very soon. It's already a very big thing. I was reading this week that people are using it in just about every field, every business, every industry. So it's something that intrigues me, and it's like resisting change. You can't, it's here. So I've been reading about that. The subject of artificial intelligence was in the news at least 3 times this week. And as I've talked in earlier lessons this past year or so, I've spoken of this thing called the human knowledge doubling curve. And really all that's saying is every couple days now, all of the knowledge that the world has ever known doubles. It's like beyond anyone's imagination. It used to be every generation, but now it's every few days. It's difficult to even wrap our heads around where it's all going. We take in a lot of data, and then you have to discern what's important and what isn't. Information is coming at us at mind-boggling speeds. I share often that I don't like listening exclusively to the news, or especially bad news or negative news. I don't like programming my thinking with it, which, if you think about it, is what's mostly on news, because they don't really program. The news channels are not full of positivity. It doesn't really sell. So while I think it's good to be informed of what's going on, we're living in exciting times, I got to remember I'm the person who chooses what I think about and what goes into my consciousness, what goes into my mind. It's in one way, you can say, my God, it's an exciting time to be alive. We're seeing all kinds of new challenges and opportunities, and we have an amazing capacity as human beings to process and store information. But there's a limit to how much we can handle effectively. Technology can create distractions and can prevent people from focusing on spiritual or religious practices. There's not a lot of people doing a lot of meditation or gathering around churches as much as there used to be, or spiritual centers. Many people are finding it difficult to detach from their devices, their phones. I did know the number of hours each day the average person is on their phones. It's staggering to me, but it's what's happening. So it's a struggle for a lot of people to find quiet time for reflection and practice the things we talk about, gratitude or cultivating this awareness of spirit. I'm excited about many of the things that are happening, but I'm a little bit saddened that so many people who are alive now have little or no interest in the pursuit of spiritual awareness. It doesn't seem to have great importance for most people. So we gather here in New York several times a week to be reminded of our spiritual nature and the power that we have to use. Each and every week we're going to be telling you how great you are. The power you have within you is spectacular. There's power for good in the universe and you can use it. And to the extent you embrace those ideas and practice those ideas, you're going to go far. But that's really not what most people do. So those of you who are on a call like this and participating in this type of thinking at any depth are going to experience great lives or better lives. But again, that's not the way it's going for most of the world. Spiritual growth in religion just isn't important to as many people or most people. We happen to be growing here in New York because we put a demand on consciousness. We knew we had to do something different. I knew before I came to New York City 6 years ago that the whole nature of spiritual churches, centers, was changing. I was absolutely clear about that back from 2016. And then COVID happened and we had to do something. We had to do a lot of things differently if we wanted to be able to help people and not only survive, but thrive and create ourselves anew. And that's what a lot of people are faced with now. The world is changing and they're trying to figure out their place in it and what they can do and how they can be of service. And so we're always inventing and reinventing ourselves. It isn't just New Thought centers that have had a tough time in recent years. And I could only find in the year 2021, there was close to, I don't know if it was something less than 8,000 houses of worship that were closed in the United States. And that's a trend that's been going on for quite a while. And it has to do with changing attitudes, changing needs. People to a large extent have abandoned traditional churches that have more dogmatic or rigid beliefs. Where questioning isn't allowed and there's just some dogma you're supposed to obey and believe in. People walk away when they feel judged or they don't follow the particular beliefs of that particular denomination. They leave also because of hypocrisy or inconsistency in the actions of the hierarchy of the organizations. And they leave because of the claims of exclusivity, of being the only path to salvation or truth. I know the church of my faith would say this is the only way and everything else is irrelevant. So people leave when they encounter all of that. Some because, in the belief system there seems to be an emphasis on guilt and shame and fear rather than on love and compassion. And then we get to the younger generations, they just don't relate to it. They think that there's a lack of relevance to what is being taught to modern life, and there's an inability to, the churches or spiritual centers are not really fulfilling the needs of that group. So, and then the other things, a lot of younger people find that the beliefs that are being taught are incompatible with the science that's here today. So these are some of the challenges that we as a spiritual community, have had to face, and we want to grow, and we want to evolve, and we want to learn what people need and try to serve people in a better way. When it comes to New Thought, which was, well, at least as conceived by Ernest Holmes, our founder, Ernest Holmes taught that we always want to be open at the top. He said that we want to be open to new ideas, scientific discoveries, medical discoveries. He wasn't particularly in favor of organized religion with the kind of rules and dogma. He naturally believed people would come along after us who would know more, and he thought and wanted this teaching to be open at the top, open to new ideas, open to new ways of delivering our message. So the emphasis with him was always on the individual having his or her own spiritual experience. You have the power within you, and the suggestion is always, and let's learn how to use it. There's power for good in the universe, he always said, greater than you of which you're a part, and you can use it. So he was teaching us to practice, so that we could have our own experience, our own direct and authentic experience. I mean, we can teach it every week, we do. We can say how great you are, we can say you've got it, you have it. But the thing is that's good, to tune in to hear that, but when you leave, hopefully you practice it, because he said otherwise it's all like a trivial pursuit. You hear all this great information washing over you, but the whole emphasis of this talk and the points that are going to be made today is you have to somehow employ it and practice it, and you need to want it. It can't be a casual thing that just washes over, because nothing's going to change if you don't begin to use the teaching. Prove it to yourself. But I'll go on with the lesson. But that is the lesson. And we have great power available always to us. Awesome power. Everything that, you think of the power of God, and most of us were taught to think is out there. It's all powerful, all intelligent. Well, I'm here to tell you that same power is in you, operating through you. So Dr. Holmes, the founder, his thing was really all about getting people together, learning about the law. You'll hear us talk about the law of cause and effect. You'll hear Louise say, what you give out comes back to you. You'll hear me talk about the mirror. Your life is, the consciousness you have is mirrored in your life. Dr. Holmes saw our teaching as being the next great thing, because he knew all these other older traditions were destined to die out. People were going to leave them, as they have. And he thought our teaching was really wonderful because it's not bogged down with dogma and religious practices and rituals. We have a teaching where we can learn about our power, and we can, each of us, have our own authentic experience of it. So religion and religious practices may be on the wane. They may be going out. It certainly seems like they are. But something new is emerging, something most likely better, because that's the way life works. So what we do here is very different than we did 50 years ago. Even back then, what we taught was very different than traditional religions. We never had dogma. We had some rituals, which we've all but, let go of, because we were born out of a Christian / New Thought movement. And as we've grown, we move more and more to the law, to realize that, it's done unto us as we believe. But we were never big on dogma. We've always taught that we create our own reality through our thoughts and our beliefs. We have grown and we've evolved a lot over the years. We've learned more about the nature of the universe and source and how it works. Our understanding has deepened and it's expanded. We are reaching a global audience, at least here now. We are in New York because of technology. Hundreds and hundreds of people are joining us every month. We've had over 4,000 people sign on, and they have various levels of engagement, watching on social media, Facebook and YouTube and the other platforms. And this is very exciting for us because we're able to reach and help a lot of people. And we're still learning how to do it better. And we're teaching the importance always of personal experience that each of us can have with this power that's within. Each of us can at any moment go within and connect directly with Spirit. Now, that's tough for some people who can't sit still and can't meditate and just can't slow down. But the best I can do for you at this point is to tell you that you have this power. You have more power than you could ever possibly conceive. And as you learn to slow down and take that pause that we talk about and learn to listen, the answers will always be there for you. So as you start to commune with this energy, it will open you up to more and more greater knowledge. And you'll have, as you start to work with it, you'll start to see demonstrations. We also, as a group, have become more open to different spiritual practices and traditions. As Dr. Holmes said, we're open at the top. So we're far more open than we were at any other time. We've been able to incorporate a wider range of perspectives and techniques into our approach. We are not a religion, and we do not have dogma. Our teaching has always been open to everyone, realizing that everyone is a spiritual being and therefore are welcome. We have always recognized the power of love, compassion, and forgiveness in transforming ourselves and society. We teach that there's one energy and that we're all connected to one another. Deepak Chopra used to say there's a unitary field of existence. And it's like we're all in this together. You love your brother as yourself, because the fact of the matter is we're all a part of each other. We're all spiritual beings living in this source energy. So we teach again that there is this one energy, this source that's in us and operating through us. And we also talk about the importance of relationships. We've been able to deepen our commitment to these principles and apply them in new ways. Our center in New York is evolving, and many of you now are listening all over the country and beyond. And we're not abandoning our roots. Rather, we are building on them and bringing in all kinds of new insight and perspective. And by doing so, we're able to stay current, relevant, and responsive to the needs of our world, which is rapidly growing and changing and expanding. And we understand that, this energy is in all this growth and expansion, and we want to grow with it. Someone said to me many years ago that the idea of God or source, they said God is a verb. And I had to remember what that meant. And as I remember, they were trying to tell me this thing we call source is a very active thing. It's a force, and it's evolving, and it's an energy, and it's a presence. The idea of God as a verb suggests that God is not just a concept far off in the distant skies or an entity, but rather an active force or presence that's constantly responding to each of us. It isn't something to be worshipped above or believed in passively. As you contemplate this idea of source and meditate upon it, you already have what the world has always been looking for. In you, it's in you. It's an awesome discovery to realize the thing you're looking for is in you and something you can have direct contact with, you can commune with, you can experience. The more you commune with it and invite it in, you will see how it will begin to guide your decisions. If you partner up with it, my dad used to always say, Spirit will not be the uninvited guest. So, as you commune with it and take the pause and whatever you can do, there's loads of ways to awaken and kindle that relationship. Meditation, affirmative prayer, affirmations. Any and all of these are wonderful. But you begin to listen, and there is something within you that always knows. And when I was a young student, I would try to say, I don't know to the teacher. And he would say to me, there is that which is within you that knows and always knows. So you have this power. You might deny it. You might say, I don't know, but that's not really true. There is that which is within you that does know. And you can use it more. You can start to rely on it more. you can start to live a much bigger life, a much more positive life. You can change yourself, and you can lift up everyone else or lots of people as you do. And not by preaching at them and telling them what to do, but as your life begins to expand, and you really are about what we call your Father's business. In other words, your focus and your direction shifts more towards your spiritual nature and what you've come here to do and be. A lot of people will be impacted by that, just because they will see how you are, I'll say, shining, how you're evolving. It's not about directing them in any way. And when we approach this power that we have within, we're never trying to win favor with it. That's not possible. Your worth and value have already been established from the beginning. So if we're smart, if we're really smart, we're paying attention. We're not looking for any source above. We're learning about the power that we possess that's within us. It's always been there. It's around us also. And we're learning how we can use it to create a wonderful, happy life that we can share with everyone. I know some of you are interested in the pursuit and practice of this teaching, and that's great. There's some serious, dedicated students. We all need to take this to a deeper level if we want to have the results that I know many of you want. Has to be more than just a casual glance or look. Some people are just tuning in on, Wednesday or Thursday or Sunday, or watching a replay. And it's really wonderful that you found us. There's no accidents. And I don't want to say it's not enough, because it's where you are. It's a start. But if you want to take it to a different level, a higher level, where if you're really wanting to transform your life, it's going to take more than just giving it, half an hour or so a week of your attention, because that probably won't take you as far as you want to go. But it's the beginning. So wherever you're showing up and however you're showing up, pat yourself on the back and acknowledge yourself, because you're starting to learn to live what we call the affirmative life. So I am suggesting all of us in our own way need to practice the teaching. Practicing altering the dialogue that you have with yourself, which I talk about every week. That inner conversation, the conversation that only you know about, is the conversation that demonstrates in your life or manifests. So you can be lovely and we can all look nice and sound nice and be polite, but what shows up in your life is that conversation that you think about, all through your day and your evenings. And if there's a lot of fears and doubts and worries, we want to cancel that type of thinking out as much as we can and bring it to a higher level, because then that conversation, the improved conversation, is the conversation that will it'll play out in your life, because that's the way life works. It responds to you. Every single thought you think, it responds to it. If you're tuning in, or you're just starting to tune in to us, if you're new here today, again, welcome. If you're here one or two times, welcome, welcome, welcome. Just stay with it is all I can say. It's a beginning, and it's a great and it's a good step. If you want more, if you're longing for more, if you want to turn your life around, then probably you want to work more on visualizing what you want and more. I don't usually talk a lot about visualizing, but it's really a great step, which I will start talking about more. I've been in gatherings like this for many years, where the facilitator would ask the group, are you willing to do the work? And of course, no one really wants to hear that when then we don't really know what is being asked of us. And what that really means most of the time is, are you willing to do the work on yourself? Are you willing to change your thinking? Are you willing to be committed to this process? See, that takes you from being the casual observer who's tuning in on a Zoom call to somebody, oh my God, well, they're asking me a question. I know you're longing for more. The question is, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to stop making your life about somebody else, and what they've done, your ex-husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever's done you wrong or whatever, are you willing to are you willing to stop that, right? Are you willing to stop looking outward? Are you willing to stop blaming life or people, places, and things? These are examples of, the work. Are you willing to do any of this? It's not always easy, but there is spiritual work. There's a lot of spiritual work that needs to be done for us to step into the kind of life and living that we want. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that mistakes have been made along the way. And what we always are doing is we start again. I love the quote from one of the Louise Hay materials, which is, I say often, it's a lyric, remembering and forgetting. It's the game that we play. So, we trip up, we make mistakes, we react, and we get into really bad places. And then the thing is, hopefully very quickly, we get back on track. And we just keep working on ourselves. The more you tune into these classes, now we're meeting 3 times a week, and the more you work with your affirmations, your affirmative prayers, and if you start creating a great vision for yourself too, which we'll talk more and more about, you're going to step yourself right up and out of a lot of this stuff. A lot of these states of consciousness that are holding us back. So we want to get out of the blame game. We want to stop projecting anger, talking about our pain. Just notice wherever you're doing any kind of blame, blaming people, or you're all caught up in judgment of where people are, anything in the outer world, wherever you're complaining, that's a good place to focus. Because none of these states of consciousness or activities will ever bring you what you want. They won't bring you peace or joy or contentment. Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to do what you need to do to live in what we call connection? See, or the question used to be asked to me in many groups, are you coming from connection? Which means, are you coming from a loving place? If you're not coming from a loving place, it might be good just to not say whatever you thought you were going to say. Center yourselves and get restored. So this is the type of thing when we talk about willing to do the work. Are you willing to work with yourself? Because within you, you have this divine energy. And if you can start to alter your conversation and work with the inspiration and the guidance that you have within you, then life will start to shift. There's a line from a book I love, which the line is, "Love holds no grievances." You can think about that one for a long, long time. Love holds no grievances. You are part of this love, and this love, and it's within you, and it's yours to discover, and yours to learn how to use, and then learn how to share it. And of course, as you practice it, and as you learn to know that you are one with it, then you're going to be amazed before you're halfway through, because your whole life starts to shift and improve. Things will start to get exciting for you. And see, I've been talking to some people lately that they're not very excited at all. They kind of feel that, their life is over, you can really easily get caught up into that, especially as you go through changes and there's sickness, illness, and you may have gone through some betrayal, you may have lost people, there may have been deaths. It's very easy when you experience, these types of things. To get into a place. And it's very difficult sometimes for people to pull themselves out of these places. But that's what we must do. We must always work on ourselves and practice knowing that we're supplied and supported. Our introductory classes, going way, way back in this center, and really I think every center I've always been involved with, they seem to have a large attendance. The first, that'd be like what we call Science of Mind 1 series or whatever. There'd be a great turnout for those classes, and then the attendance would drop off like a cliff as we got into the more involved classes. People were, and people probably still are, generally interested in how to heal their life and improve their life, right? They want to know how to improve their relationships, improve their health, and much more. But ultimately, it involves doing the work. Putting the pedal to the metal. And by that I mean, we tell you wonderful things and how wonderful you are and how, you're an inlet and outlet of God consciousness. You are one with the one. And every single one of those statements is true. But the next thing is we have to find the willingness to start to practice some of it so we can change. We have to want it. So there needs to be something within you that wants to level up and wants to experience life in a bigger way. So you can start communing with it. And the more you start to, learn to pause and reflect and meditate, journal, maybe have a prayer partner, creating a vision board, start to create an amazing vision for yourself. The more you start to do these things, you're going to start to get excited about your life. The more you use your affirmations, notice if you're going to the other side where you're complaining and complaining, you have to find the way, not for me, but for yourself to stop. Just find the way to stop and just, say, look, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I need to do it a different way. And the whole universe will support you doing it a different way. So we want to have the willingness to keep seeing the good in the God, as we say. And this requires a certain steadfastness or faith, or whatever it is. Pray for the willingness, if nothing more. Say, I know I'm supplied and supported, and I have the willingness to go that extra mile, make that extra effort, to become dedicated to changing the internal dialogue around. It's so very important. It's the reason I bring it up every Thursday. It's an inquiry, you know what it's like being you, and if it's negative, then it's the only person that can. So you want to change that negative conversations because you want to feel better. And as you change those negative conversations and you really start to believe in the goodness, the God that's within you and around you, then it's going to start to show up for you. So we want to raise our vibration, higher and above and beyond critical thinking and all the criticism we have about ourselves and others. And we want to bring ourselves to a higher place that takes some dedication and effort. This kind of work involves loving yourself more and stop criticizing ourselves. And, when you start to have this radical idea of extending love and forgiveness to yourself, you're going to be in a different place. Your life is going to be much happier. I've noticed over the years that there are always a few in every class that I've ever taught. It'd be a handful who really wanted to consciously evolve and to do the work and to live the teaching. Everybody loves the idea of this teaching, but there's a lot of resistance to change that's in people. Just like in philosophy or religion, the vast majority of the people who attend, spiritual practices, they love it, but they don't practice it as much as they want. So our teaching is very clear. It's done unto you as you believe. So when you get some of these ideas, jot them down, write your own affirmations. You can listen to our Facebook and YouTube replays 24 hours a day. Because again, it's done unto you as you believe. If you have a low opinion of yourself truly, and only you know what goes on inside of you, it's done unto you as you believe. So the work involves lifting yourself up. Never, never, never criticize yourself. Stop criticizing others. Be the person who extends love to yourself, to everybody. Life loves a giver and a lifter, and that's what we learn to be here. Louise, many years ago, had, she had, every couple of years she would have a tour that went around the world. And one of them was called the I Can Do It Tour. And I liked that one in particular. She invited me to it, and you can develop this kind of consciousness, which is, I can do it. Now, there might be everything inside of you that says, I can't do it. It's too late, and you don't understand how bad it is, and you don't understand. I've had a lot of students who've told me over the years, you don't understand. And the fact is, I don't understand everything that's going on with everybody, but I know that you have the power that's within you that can transcend, many, if not all of these circumstances. You can develop this type of consciousness. you can step into the type of life that you never dreamed possible. So today, I'm making the suggestion that you create for yourself a very bigger than ever before vision for yourself. And I don't talk about this much. This is probably something that we will do in a workshop, but I can mention it now. Start with a journal, or start with a big cardboard construction board type of thing, or a journal, and start to think of the biggest vision that you have for yourself that you could ever imagine. If you create this vision and you start to think about what you want in life, and you want your relationships to be, you want your employment to be, what you want your relationship to your higher power to be, and start writing that down. As you start to dream and think big, you're going to step into a world, where you can do and experience many amazing things. And as you do this, you're going to put yourself in touch with joy. And it's all there waiting for you. You've heard it said, going right back to, most of our earlier religions, it was Christian, the kingdom of God is at hand. If you've been hearing some version, you've been hearing some version of that all your life. So I will suggest to you, if you want this great life, you've got to want it. If you want to experience it, you've got to want it. First of all, start to dream, and dream big, and write it out. You've got to want it enough that you're willing to create this big vision, a higher vision, and then start to be devoted to trading in anything that's, anything that is in, wherever there's an old negative thing lingering around, you have to have the willingness to let it go. The lesser concepts of yourself and any of the critical thinking, you want to let go of it. Say, I release this from the nothingness from whence it came. You've got to want this greater life to such an extent you're going to be willing to do some things. You're going to be willing to let go of the things that are holding you back. So this is the work that we're talking about. This is the effort that's required. Was said to me many years ago, I have to become the guardian at the gate. Wherever any of that negative stuff comes in, I have to be willing to cancel it and replace it. And I have to start practicing the God and the good. Now, this isn't necessarily hard, but again, it requires practice and patience and the willingness to really live in new moments and drop the stories. Use affirmations, as we say. They're always a great place to begin. Learning to do affirmative prayer will help tremendously. Paying attention to your own inner dialogue, again, and having the willingness to make corrections are all things that will help you. Every thought you think, all the thoughts that you're thinking, collectively play out in your life. They demonstrate, they manifest. So we as a New Thought Center, we can keep reminding you, we love reminding you, but we can't do the work for you. We're here to remind you that you have the power, you have everything you need within you, and that Spirit within you is attempting always to get your attention, and so you can step up. You're here to grow. You're supposed to expand and grow and evolve. So don't resist it. Life is going to change, and we all know that. So we don't want to be in resistance. We want to say it's good. Even though it doesn't feel like it's good, we know that it's happening, not to us and for it, but for us. So as we level up, as we become more accepting and we know it's good, you're going to increase your vibration and you can begin to live in a much more empowered way. Often I say willingness is the key. Showing up here whenever you can is really wonderful because we're here, we love seeing you, and we're here to remind you always that you have within you great power, and we will give suggestions how you can use it. This is a group of people who are all committed in varying degrees to expansion, growth, and experiencing more of what life has to offer. I encourage everybody to spend some time in meditation, affirmative prayer, and again, now I'm going to start to suggest that we all start creating a vision board for ourselves, and to create, and begin to envision creating something that's bigger than anything you've ever conceived or considered before, because life is on your side. meaning life will respond to these big ideas if you believe in them yourself. So it'll be great if you spend some time contemplating the things you desire. Let yourself dream really big. It might be good, again, to write it down so you can feel it, think about it, and make it real in your mind. Visualize every good thing that you desire. Remember Emerson's adage, hitch your wagon to the stars. So dream big. And I don't care if you're 18 or you're 88. Just let yourself go wild. Let yourself dream, and your life vision be incredible, amazing. Notice the things that come up for you when you do this. Ask yourself questions, even if they seem ridiculous. Write them down. If you might say to yourself, if I could do anything I want, what would that look like? What would that feel like? Ask yourself, what are the things that bring me joy? What are the things that bring me happiness? Write them down. In your meditations, your journaling, or if you're doing visioning, write everything down. Give yourself permission to go wild when you're doing a vision board. Ask yourself, what would I love to do if I could? Who would I love if I could? Who would I love to be with? Where would I love to see myself a few years from now? Keep asking yourself these questions and let the answers flow. Put it down on paper, put it down on your board. And no matter how outrageous the answers seem to be, in your mind say, I am open and receptive, and write it all down. The things that come up might really surprise you. This type of exercise is very special, and you can go back to it time and time again, and you can build upon it more and more. It's a powerful exercise and a great use of your time, because instead of thinking of all the doom and gloom things that are happening in your world, you're opening up your heart and your consciousness and allowing yourself to dream and visualize. You're letting your inner voice out, and you're allowing yourself to express some of your biggest thoughts and ideas. And as you write about them and put them down, you're giving yourself a chance to focus upon things that have long been set aside or dormant or never thought of before. The universe is going to say yes. It's because that's what it does. It always responds affirmatively. So it's wonderful. It's great to visualize the things that you long to do and be and express. The universe moves forward by means of you and all of us. So this is a really great way to tap into that inner awareness and desire. Most of the people we know are focused on the things that are wrong with their life. What they've lost, who they have lost, or what's happened to them. Or they're living with a lot of regret and sadness. This teaching prompts us to do things much differently. We're here to understand that we are living in goodness, that we're living in this unitary field of divine activity, energy. And not only that, we are part of this energy ourselves. There is that power and presence within us that always knows what to do. And we learn here to trust it. We're learning to trust it more and more. We acknowledge that we are one with this energy, this love that can do anything. We have knowledge that within us that's awesome, and it's always attempting to get our attention. So I'm asking us to consider to take a different step, to do the work a little bit more. I'm asking us to consider sitting with ourselves and becoming a little bit more clear of the fact that you're a magnificent spiritual being to start with, and you have power within you that will respond to you. So dream big. Start writing it down. Stop talking about the problems. Stop tune out the negativity, because you have within you the power to create wondrous things. So knowing all this, it's time to set aside what we call the small stuff, the trivial pursuits, and realize that we're here for bigger things. And know that we can have them. I don't know what your big thing is, but I know there's something that is within everyone here that needs to be expressed or desires greater expression. You didn't come here to play small. You didn't come here to imitate anyone. As I say quite a bit, you're 1 in a billion, or more correctly, you're 1 in about 8 billion, and there's no one else like you in all the world. There never has, and there never will be. Each of us in our own way are important unique, and we're here to express ourselves at the best we possibly can. We honor everybody here because we realize that everyone here is a unique spiritual being. Everyone is welcome, and we're encouraging you to come and to learn to shine. Everyone here is an expression of this divine life, this divine love, and every one of us is evolving. So we say namaste to everybody we see, and namaste to everyone we think of, everyone we meet. We salute the divinity that's in every living being. We understand that we are one with everyone. We recognize that this energy is in all. As we lift our vision, we will see, there's a poem by William Blake I included for today. We can get to a place where we can see a world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower, where we can hold infinity in the palm of our hand and eternity in an hour. It's a beautiful passage, and I invite you all to go back to it. We have the ability to see great good in everything, where we know that every encounter is a holy encounter, that life is perfectly unfolding. We have this power within us, this knowledge within us to really see the beauty in all things. But we have to step out of that other stuff where we're reacting to everything. We want to level up. We got to step out of the place where we're focused on our problems, our fears, and what's wrong, and have our focus on seeing the God and good. That's what we really ultimately do here. We develop positive expectancy. We're here to see the good. We are the people who are bringing the gift of light and love into our own lives, and we share it with others. Ernest Holmes was famous for synthesizing all these thoughts, bringing all the greatest thinkers of the time together. But he, again, said, we're open at the top. Every week, I suggest as an alternative to bombarding us with negative stuff, news and all that, that we could try communing with some of these great thinkers. The textbook and some of the people that Ernest Holmes was studying, or there's many others as well. Consider some of these great ideas. This week I'm suggesting, again, that to create a vision for yourself, something that's bigger than you've ever thought of before, something that's outrageous. And be sure to bring in your ideas and power into these ideas and vision. And commune with some of these great thinkers, and then start creating your own vision and letting yourself go wild on it. Whatever is in your heart's desire, the universe is going to respond to you. Give yourself permission to really go there and open yourself up to this kind of realization. And as you do, you're going to discover what's possible, and maybe who you have come here to be and what you're here to express. Now, we can read and we can study in some instances some of these great minds. Dr. Holmes never claimed to be one of the great minds himself. He said, I'm just the guy who put it all together. He made the statement very clear in the teaching. He says, what I have is a culmination of some of the great thinkers of the ages. If you will, he thought he put together some of the best of theology, philosophy, and discoveries. But he said that almost 100 years ago. The textbook was a marvel at the time. Ernest Holmes did not consider himself, again, an original thinker. He never took credit for anything. He said bringing it all together was his accomplishment. So you can find good in our textbook or the works of others, Raymond Charles Barker, Dr. Bitzer, Emmett Fox, the Fillmores, even Mary Baker Eddy, the Bible. You can find great truths in a lot of places. But in every single case, if you want to grow, here's the thing. We have to be willing to do the work. It'll involve practice. It will involve application of some of the truths that we're finding. It doesn't require, but it would be really wonderful if you develop a great vision for yourself. There's a minister friend of mine who was always fond of saying, all this great inspiration, the expression was, inspiration without application is hallucination. So we get inspired here, because there's great truths that we talk about here. But I want to have more people, hopefully in this audience, start working on application and practice of what we teach. So you're not one of the people who just listen and come and go and listen, come and go, but actually you start to you take it to a different level.